I'm Haley Taylor, and you're listening to the Rough Draft Diaries. This week on the Rough Draft Diaries, my guest visited me at WGTE Studios, but she actually works just down the street from us.
My name is Jessica Melina Kuhlman, and I work at Toledo SMART Bilingual Elementary.
Jessica doesn't just work for the school, she's the principal and one of the founders of the program. SMART is a community school, also known as a charter school, that began about 4 years ago. There are currently 200 students enrolled in the K-5 program, and their mission is to create bilingual community leaders.
We came about because we realized there was a big need for the Latino and Spanish-speaking community in the Toledo area. We needed a place where our community felt welcome in the school setting and that they got all the resources that they need. So we also prioritize the Spanish language. So we have many students who come to us who don't speak Spanish, and our goal is to make sure that they are also bilingual by the time that they leave us.
Jessica says the school is like any other K-5 program. They teach science, math, social studies. They have extracurricular programs like arts and culture. But obviously Jessica creates a bilingual curriculum instead of a monolingual program. She also works to establish a strong connection with the ESL community. That's parents and students who learned English as a second language. That connection is so important that it was actually one of the motivating factors for the creation of the school.
So my roots with the school are pretty deep and go back a few years. I used to work at Adelante, which is a Latino serving organization, nonprofit in South Toledo. And when I was there, we did some community organizing and recognized that our clients, our community, wanted better access to education. They felt like they were often calling schools or trying to set up meetings and they weren't given interpreters or translators. If their parents spoke predominantly Spanish and they wanted to speak to somebody at the school, they had a difficult time reaching somebody or speaking to someone. And they just felt like there was this disconnect between them and the school system. So we worked a lot with the school system to try to improve that for our families, but unfortunately never got to the point where they felt comfortable or they felt super welcome. And there are other reasons that our community sometimes doesn't feel welcome in school systems. So we just wanted to create a place where they were welcome and we could give them all the resources that they deserved.
The poor connection between a school body and the parent and teacher is not a modern issue. For Jessica, it's personal. And it goes back to her childhood.
In my past, my family and I, we were migrant workers in rural Northwest Ohio. My parents were Spanish speaking when I went to school, and I went to a school where we were one of the only families that spoke Spanish. So like many of the struggles here, when my parents would go to the school, they didn't really have anybody that they could access or speak to. So myself and my siblings, we were always the translator for our parents. And I just remember always feeling as a child that was a really big responsibility. So my mom would say, like, go tell this person this. And I would think, oh, I don't want to do that. So I experienced it. My family experienced that growing up. And also the unwelcoming feeling. My parents had very limited schooling, very educated, very wise individuals, but limited schooling. So going to a school can be really intimidating. And we also wanted to bring down that barrier because we don't want any parent to feel intimidated when they walk into our building, and we recognize that they are the most important individual in our students' lives. So I experienced it firsthand. I heard many of the stories during community organizing, and that's what we set out to accomplish, is to make sure that our families didn't feel the same way.
Jessica doesn't want families or students to have the same past experiences as she did, but she does want to offer the same type of future she achieved for herself.
So I went to Columbia University, and when I got accepted there, that was our big, oh my gosh, my dad was so proud and my mom was so proud. So, I mean, yeah, I guess we have had that realization, and it's also recognizing that my level of schooling isn't the success, just like my willingness or want to give back to the community that we praise and celebrate. because like I said, my parents are the wisest, most educated people I know, but they didn't have school. So just recognizing that we are here to make sure that our students are prepared and ready to give back to the community to make Toledo stronger.
One last thing before we go, we still need to hear Jessica's connections for the next episode of the Rough Draft Diaries.
So I don't have 3 that I recommend. I have a couple. I want to recommend Beatriz Maya from La Conexión. She works in Wood County to unite, represent, and empower the Latino community. That one's near and dear to my heart because that's where I grew up as a migrant farm worker. So she's really advocating for the Latino culture and community in that area. And then also in relation to culture and just moving our culture forward, Sue Cuevas with the Latino Community Credit Union. She provides financial resources to the Latino community, and she deserves a shout out too.
You'll have to tune in next time to find out who I pick. For now, I'm Haley Taylor, and thanks for listening to this episode of the Rough Draft Diaries.